Verse 26, it says, as they led Jesus away, they laid hold of a certain man, Simon, a Cyrenian, who was coming from the country, and on him they laid the cross that he might bear it after Jesus. Now, before we dig into Simon too deeply, we have here what might appear to be a contradiction. Some people have accused, right? So here they grab this guy Simon and say, hey, you carry the cross. Well, the problem is Matthew, Mark, and Luke tell us that, but John doesn't mention Simon at all. It just says Jesus carried the cross and out they went to Golgotha, to Calvary. So who carried the cross? Did Jesus carry the cross? Or did Simon carry the cross? And I'm hoping that by now, at this point, as we've been going through the Gospels now, seeing these things, your mind is going, both. They both carried the cross. There's no reason whatsoever to see any kind of contradiction. Some scholars have actually speculated that Simon helped Jesus carry the cross. I've actually seen this depicted in movies where it's like they're both, here's the deal. They would put the cross, the cross beam is what people usually assume it is. They would tie it to their back and they would have to carry the cross beam of their own cross to the place to be crucified. And I've seen it depicted where Simon actually kind of got under Jesus' shoulder and they were side by side carrying this big thing. I've seen it where, they took it off Jesus and put it on Simon. I've even seen where some say, no, it wasn't just the cross beam, it was the entire cross. And so Simon is actually dragging up the end, right? So Jesus had the cross and the end was dragging behind him, and now Simon's having to carry the back end. I've seen that both ways. So either way, they're both carrying the cross. The important thing, though, that I think we need to recognize here is regardless of who was actually carrying what part, there's this little phrase that people often say. It's that the absence of evidence is not evidence of an absence. Just because John doesn't say Simon was there doesn't mean he wasn't. It's just that John didn't mention it. Now we're talking about events that have a ton of details that could be included. The authors are not going to include everything that happens. So John just decided not to talk about Simon. Okay, does that mean that Simon wasn't actually there and Simon didn't help carry the cross? No, doesn't mean that at all. In fact, John himself says in John 21:25 that if everything about Jesus was written, it would fill up all the books in all the world. So, of course, there are a lot of things that are left out. No contradiction needing to be imagined there.